Good morning, everyone. And as Sue said, so my name is Bryan. I'm the broker in charge of Hawai'i Real Estate. And joining me on this call this morning is Bryan, my business partner, and he runs our property management division, which is called Island Stays Hawaii. We only focus fully on vacation rentals with the property management company. And for investing in Hawaii, there's really a lot to know. And so this is going to kind of be a very broad, just brushstroke, but primarily focused on Oahu, where we're based out of, and where the vast majority of the inventory is. It seems like most people invest. But I have helped other clients look for property on other islands. Generally, when that happens, I like to partner with either refer my clients directly out to an agent on another island. I've had some clients insist that I would help them on other islands, and if I do that, I'll always just work with the local. I'll always still partner with the local agent, so I make sure that my clients get the best service. So again, this presentation is mostly about Oahu, but if you have any specific questions about other islands, I'm happy to refer you to some other agents. Now, why Hawaii and why Oahu, really? So a big reason is scarcity. All the islands, we really do have a housing shortage, so that lends to be very supportive to home values. But the other thing that makes it very, very challenging to get your foot in the door here sometimes. Another thing is that it's very difficult to build new inventory. For all the islands, there's a strong resistance for new development. For Oahu, there's really not a whole lot of open space anymore. And there is a couple new developments going up, but when new developments proposed, there's a lot of local resistance to do any more further development on the island. And even if you look at like in a high dense neighborhood in a very close part to say Honolulu, if you have a vacant lot or maybe a tear down home, just the way things work in Hawaii, it can take literally years and years before a new property can be developed. So again, that's very supportive valuations and valuations here. Another big appeal is international demand, especially for Oahu. The Japanese have historically been very, very supportive of the housing market. That's kind of softened recently just to the weak yen. But these days we see a lot of buyers from China, Korea. Canadians are very popular here, as well as Australians, and obviously you have people from the mainland US, and then also from various countries around Europe. So a huge, strong international demand for housing here in Hawaii. Another big thing is the tourism here, which equals the high occupancy rates. Not too long ago, I had a conversation with the owner of one of the largest vacation rental management companies on Oahu, and they target 85% occupancy rate as their kind of baseline for all the properties they manage. Now, Island Stays Hawaii, we just started this management company earlier this year, but we're consistently doing over 90% occupancy rates. And I have clients who self-manage, and they consistently get high 90% occupancy rates year round. So that's one huge big appeal to me about owning in Hawaii. Also, a lot of my clients when they buy properties, a motivation is it's a vacation home for them as well that they get to use throughout the year. And when they're not using it, it's generating income for them, which is a much of a win-win situation. And then as far as Oahu, it's by far the most populated island. And from a lot of people I've talked to, from just visitors, from people who move here, they love the option about Hawaii is that if you want city life, you have city life. If you want to get country life, you can get country life as well, the tropical Hawaiian feel. So Oahu is quite diverse, offers people a whole lot of more options than some of the other islands. Another big thing is there's a very strong medical community here on Oahu. You have a lot of traveling nurses, other medical staff here. And I have a colleague who she does a lot of investing, and her target is foreign exchange students and medical professionals. And she does 30 to 90 day rentals. And she is very, very successful, really focusing on medical staff. And another big plus here about Oahu is there's a large military presence. A lot of these military members get a very high housing allowance, so it allows them to afford. Some of these people I've seen them buy multi-million-dollar homes with their housing allowances. So they're very supportive of the housing industry here, and also for rentals, they can afford really quality rentals. And if these people do not pay their rent, and the landlord can also complain to their superior officer, and they can't affect their rate if they do not pay their rent. So military service members can be make for really good tenants, and they're more on the 90 to 1 year annual, like 1 year lease terms for tenants. Now, as far as why you may want to work with me if you decide to buy a property, particularly on Oahu, few reasons. One is I'm a full-time real estate broker. There's thousands of agents here on Oahu, but there's a lot of them are part-time agents. I saw a stat not too long ago where less than 25% of all agents on Oahu do more than one transaction a year. So again, you have a lot of agents who work a full-time job and maybe just help a family member or friend whenever somebody wants to buy or sell a property. Another reason is that I consider pretty extensive investment experience. I've been a real estate investor myself for approaching 30 years. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. At one time in Seattle, I owned a real estate brokerage and property management company, which was focused on long-term management at the time. I was a member of, or a partner of a real estate syndication company. And then coming over to Oahu, I was for about 5 years I was a realtor with Hawai'i Life, which is the largest independent brokerage company, very reputable. They do a lot of high-end clientele. Until about 2 years ago, a colleague of mine decided to branch out and start our own company, Hawai'i. And then we started Island States Hawaii. And the reason we started Island States Hawaii is because I was really having trouble finding good property management companies to refer my clients to for the vacation rentals. And I just thought there was a need for that. And that's why, again, we started Island States Hawaii. And again, due to all the agents here, when someone contacts me and asks me to help them achieve their real estate goals, it's an honor because I know there's just a huge, they have plenty of options here for realtors. So when someone asks me to help them, again, achieve their real estate goals, I really want to provide them the highest level of customer service to reflect how grateful I am for the opportunity. And lastly is I really do, I strive to put the most importance on my fiduciary duty. I've been blessed in past business adventures to have some financial success. So I'm not looking to do this as a top producer. I'm not dependent on this for my income. I like making cash when I'm making the money when I have a successful transaction, but the goal is really to help my clients achieve their real estate goals here and find the best property for them. Now, as far as types of investment properties on Oahu, kind of have 4 options here, and this is really covers for all of Hawaii. First, you have single family, and that is more of an appreciation play. Not too long ago, I had dinner with an owner of a long-term management company, and I asked him about his clientele, and he said, basically all of them are just happy to break even with their single family homes here. They just are really counting on appreciation. And for whatever reason, it seems like single family home investments are more appealing to locals here than people from the mainland or overseas. I don't know the specific reason, but it seems like a lot more locals buy single family homes here for investment purposes. The next opportunity is traditional multifamily. I consider this like your typical apartment building, and that's more of a cash flow appreciation play. And then you have your next year 30-day kind of a midterm rental, which is 30 to 90 days. Those are cash flow appreciation plays. And then you have your short-term vacation rentals, which are very, very popular here in Hawaii or on Oahu, but also Big Island, Maui, and Kauai as well. Those are appreciation cash flow plays, and they offer the highest return on cash. And down here, this is some data. The median annual appreciation for single-family homes based on data from 1985 to 2022. Annual appreciation was 5.24%. Condos, townhomes were 4.68%. I want to stress this is for the entire island. There's definitely different parts of the island that appreciate better and outperform other areas of the island. So if you're interested in seeing a neighborhood, a city, just let me know if you want to see the data. I'm happy to provide that to you. Now, as far as it's not all just bliss here investing in Hawaii. There are some risks. And one of the big risks are the age of the buildings, especially if you're going to buy a unit of a condo. For Oahu, a lot of the inventory here was constructed in 1960s, 1970s. And right now we're seeing a lot of issues where the buildings have to replace their drain lines, maybe upgrade the elevators, paint the building, do some spalling work. So it's really important that you know the condition of the building before you buy anything. But the condition of the property can really affect insurance, how expensive it is to insure the property. And also, if you again, to be aware about capital improvements, because you don't know, you need to find out if the association has been budgeting for these capital improvements that are coming up, or perhaps if they raise the monthly dues, or if they'll perhaps if the owners with special assessments. Other risks are potential new regulations restricting or trying to eliminate short-term rentals. Almost on an annual basis, there's some sort of someone proposes some legislation trying to restrict or put the brakes on vacation rentals here in Hawaii, on one of the different islands. Fortunately, over the years, there's been much more support building because there's a lot of locals here that benefit from vacation rentals here on the island. So there's much more growing support, and there's a lot more pushback on these proposed regulations trying to restrict or eliminate vacation rentals. Another big risk is insurance issues, and this has been highlighted first with that condo that collapsed in Florida, but then more recently the Lahaina fires. With the Lahaina fires, insurance companies really start taking a closer look at their portfolios and risk assessments for Hawaii, and they found that a lot of properties were underinsured. Last I heard was like on Oahu, close to 390 buildings either were underinsured with hurricane or flood insurance. And that's really shifted the market right now. There's quite a few buildings where it's challenging to get financing. If you get financing, it's not the best terms. And a lot of associations now are looking to increase their insurance coverage, but they've not been budgeting for it. So now they're looking at either they have to increase their monthly dues or they have to hit owners with special assessments. So again, those are risks there. Other risks are erosion or sea level rise. Personally, I don't consider sea level rise the most immediate risk. I'm more concerned about erosion. Every island, there is some erosion issues. For Oahu, it's more on the North Shore, but recently some single family homes have been lost due to erosion. And so it's not, I've never seen it affect any condos yet, but it's just something to be attentive of or be aware of is that if you're looking to buy oceanfront property, you really want to look into erosion and also look at the sea level rise maps. Another risk is that, the government's always looking to increase their tax revenue and increase property taxes or also levying taxes on tourism in some way is always a way to, always ways here in Hawaii they're trying to increase their tax revenue. And another big risk is, again, due to Hawaii being so dependent on tourism, but there's an economic disturbance that does affect tourism that can obviously affect your cash flow here.
And Bryan, I'm going to pause you right here, or back at that screen that you were talking about risks. This is the importance of working with someone that is very knowledgeable in the area. Sometimes we find deals online. Sometimes we see something that, seems like, oh, it's affordable, we can do it. But when we don't have a team that understands, is this an area that has some erosion going on? Is this an area that is hard to get insured? Is this an area that, for whatever reason, is going to be trouble to get it up to speed or, rentable? You need to be aware of that. If you still want to move forward, that's fine, but you need to know the costs associated with getting something like that. And the fact that Bryan brings this up to us just shows that when you have somebody that knows the area, that knows the property that you're about to purchase, this stuff can be brought up to you up front and not be a surprise and bankrupt you. So, these risks are risks for you to be aware of, not to deter you from buying there, but to be aware that you need to get a property that's maybe not in these areas or in a newer building or in a newer area or something that you're not going to have, difficulty getting insurance for. So I really like the fact that he brought these issues up to just show, the kind of team and the kind of individuals that you would be working with, not somebody that's just looking to sell you something and then you have it now and then all of a sudden you can't rent it. Like, we want you to We want to set you up for success. We want to make sure that your properties are going to be rentable and they are going to be appreciating. So thank you so much, Bryan, for sharing something like this.
Yeah, absolutely my pleasure. And I just want to follow up on that on one thing with this downturn in tourism. COVID was a great example of this. Obviously, that had a huge impact on cash flow for investors. But when the shutdown first happened, again, I'm an active investor. I'm always looking for opportunities. I genuinely thought that there was going to be some great fire sale opportunities for vacation rentals on Oahu because things were just sitting vacant. The whole time we had the shutdown here, I think I only saw 2 opportunities that eventually sold that I thought like, okay, someone got a good deal on those. The rest of the time was amazing that people let their properties sit vacant or they just turned them into long-term rentals. And so again, there was no big price reduction. And there's a lot of cash buyers here in Hawaii, and it just shows that the market is quite resilient here, even with a huge shutdown. It really did not have for sure, no long-term negative impact. But even then, it highlights it's really hard to find deals here because there's so much demand for investment properties here on an international basis. Now, I just want to give you an idea about a more clear idea about appreciation, because again, that's a big factor for buying property here in Hawaii. And I can pull these 20-year charts for neighborhoods, specific buildings. So if you want to see any of these charts for any sort of property you're looking for on Oahu, I can definitely do this. I just pulled out a few favorite areas of mine on Oahu. This is Hawai'i Kai, which is a very popular for locals and also for mainlanders. This is single families. And so this is again, 20-year chart. Here's a chart for Kailua single families. And Kailua is just on the windward side of Oahu, directly across from Hawai'i Kai. And then here is a single family Pearl City. Pearl City is kind of central Oahu, more of a local neighborhood. And then here's condos, Hawai'i Kai, all condos in Hawai'i Kai and townhomes. Condos and townhomes in Kailua. Condos in Pearl City. This is condos for the Metro Honolulu area. And then here's for some vacation rentals. So this is Ilikai, which is one of the most popular vacation rental buildings. It consists mostly of 1 and 2 bedrooms. Again, good upward trends. And then here's Marine Surf. Waikiki Banyan, this is another very popular vacation rental building. These price drops here is that this building has leasehold units. And I'm remiss for not being more clear about this. So there's two types of ownership here. One is fee simple, which is the highest form of ownership. The other one is leasehold. Leasehold is pretty much like you're renting the property for a fixed amount of time. And when the lease expires, the leaseholder can either renew the terms with you or they can take back the property. So the value of a leasehold property, the longer the lease lasts, the higher the property is going to be. But if there's a property now that the entire building, the lease is coming up in 2027. 10 years ago, those units were selling for $1 million or more than $2 million. Now you can buy one of those units for $100,000 because that leaseholder is taking the whole building back in 2027. So there's really not much value in those units anymore to hold them for the next 2.5 years or so. So I hope I was clear about that. But the reason these large dips here are due to leasehold units selling at Waikiki Banyan. Now, as far as Oahu, where you can legally do vacation rentals, excuse me. Up here, you have the North Shore. It's called Turtle Bay. There's 3 communities up here, townhomes or condos. Over here in the west side, you have Makaha Valley. This is the only really large single-family community. It's called Cottages at Mauna Estates. It's newer development. I think they broke ground in 2019, concluded in 2022. But this is all zone resort, and you can do single-family vacation rentals out here. Over here is Ko'olina. There's a building called Beach Villas. This is a very beautiful, you have the 4 Seasons, Aulani Hotel, highly rated golf course, really a destination, high-end destination. One property here is called the Beach Villas. It has a 6-night minimum. It's 2 to 3 bedrooms. Price points start in the high 1 million, still above 3 million. And then Waikiki, this is where most of your inventory is for vacation rentals. And for a fee simple, You can get a vacation rental, not in the most desirable building, but starting in the low 100,000s. But you can spend over to $3 million for a vacation rental in Waikiki area. But typically price points on average range from about 400,000 to about $1 million for majority of the inventory. Now for the rest of Oahu, you can legally do long-term rentals. And regarding 30-day rentals, those have been very, very popular for Hawaii, but last year the government passed a regulations changing the 30-day to a 90-day. There was a big lawsuit, and the final injunction was that the government had to allow anybody who was doing a 30-day rental prior to that regulation passing, those owners can now continue to do 30-day rentals long-term, no issues. But the government paused their enforcement of 90-day rentals. So technically someone can today buy a property, do a 30-day rental at this time, but the government now has the right to enforce that to a 90-day minimum. Last week, I just attended a meeting with the Oahu Short-Term Rental Alliance. They follow all the regulations very closely. They think it's 50-50 whether the government's ever going to enforce the 30-day or the 90-day minimum now for midterm rentals. They said, you know, there was a big push initially, but it's kind of lost momentum. The government's now moved, it seems like they're focused on other issues. So again, just to be clear, you can buy a condo here or a home and do 30-day rentals, but there is a risk that the government may in the future may eliminate that. One other thing is that there's a product called non-conforming use permits in Hawaii. For Oahu in the late 1980s, the government issued, I think, close to 1,700 non-conforming use permits. For short, they're called nukes. And if a property has an NUC permit or a nuke, that allows you to do nightly rentals anywhere on Oahu. And unfortunately, most of the nukes are in condos in Waikiki that are already legally allowed to do vacation rentals, but there are some single-family homes and condos throughout Oahu where the properties do have NUC permits, and you can do nightly rentals. They don't come on the market very often because they're very lucrative. The last one I saw was in Kailua about a year and a half ago. But keep in mind that if you can't find those opportunities, they can be golden. Now, as far as Waikiki, this pink area is a resort zoned area. So if you are looking for the most secure area on Oahu to buy a vacation rental that may never be, where your rights may never be taken away by the government, you want to own in this area because it's resort zoned. I've talked to many long-term real estate agents here, a very reputable real estate attorney. They think that if the government ever tried to eliminate vacation rentals here on Oahu, they would have a very, very difficult time, maybe impossible time of eliminating any property in the resort area. And vast majority of all vacation rentals do line this area, but there are 5 vacation rental properties in this area over here where for various reasons they have special exemptions that allow them to do nightly rentals in this area. But I also want to highlight is that there is a growing movement to try to get this area turned into resort so that the whole Waikiki zoned area would be a legally resort zoned area. And again, that's just a movement that started recently, but it is gaining traction. So hopefully in the coming years, that'll be turned to all resort. Now, I just want to also highlight a few examples of vacation rentals. So this is a 2-bedroom that I found for a client off market. He acquired this about a year ago. He paid $925. It's at Waikiki Sunset. He's consistently doing and this is gross. He's consistently grossing about 10 to 15,000 a month. Average is about 13 to 14. This December, it looks like he's probably going to do close to 20,000. So he's really happy with the performance. We just took over management of this property in August. The prior management company, it had a 4.69 rating with, I think, close to 30 reviews. So our goal as with Island States Hawaii is to have all of our units guest favorites because it's critical to have a highly rated unit that's going to drive your occupancy and also the nightly rates that you can demand for your property. Next unit is, excuse me, this unit at Waikiki Banyan. The owner of this unit is actually the consultant of ours for our Island Stays management division. You can see he does a wonderful job. I mean, he just knows the market really, really well. And he's owned this property for years, so I don't know what he paid for it, but if a comparable unit like this came on the market for sale, almost guaranteed it's going to sell above 900,000, maybe even push $1 million, because he does 10 to 14,000 a month, sometimes higher, with a 1 bedroom. And if you look at what he does financially compared to some other units, it just shows how important it is to be a really quality manager, because there's other units not in good, almost as close as good condition as this one, but they may only do $79,000 a month, because they just don't provide the great guest experience that someone like this is doing. And then here's another unit. This is a studio over at Bamboo that a client of mine. He was a first-time investor from the mainland. He's self-managing, so I'm love to see how well he's doing here. He bought this unit and did a full remodel, but really the unit was in my opinion, quite good condition. It could have been turnkey. He could have been doing vacation rentals on the day of closing, but he wanted to customize it, do a full remodel with a customized look. And he's been rewarded. He's has a higher nightly rate to some other units, and for this unit he paid $340. That was about a year ago. Now, as far as lenders, I mean, there's a lot of cash buyers here, but don't let that dissuade you, because vast majority of my clients have used financing to buy their investment properties here. But buying real estate here is very tricky, so I always recommend that you do use a local lender who understands the market. And here are just a bunch of lenders I've put up that vast majority of these lenders have used my clients. I'd be comfortable referring them to anyone. But if you want to get the best financing terms, it's best to buy a unit that has a full kitchen. Units that have kitchenette, which is going to be maybe a cooktop, not an actual stove, maybe a smaller refrigerator. Those are different loan products, and these lenders are specialists for units with kitchenettes. And kitchenettes usually command a higher down payment, use a higher interest rate as well for financing. And as far as down payments, for a unit that has a full kitchen, Carolyn over at American Savings Bank, she's been able to get some clients a 20% down payment. That's really the lowest down payment, but usually 25% is the most common. But again, just to highlight, I highly recommend using a local lender. And then kind of highlighting this earlier, best to work with a local knowledgeable realtor. Again, as I discussed already, for building specific issues, so you're aware of any potential capital improvements upcoming, the financial health association, if the building's fully insured, potential new regulations, and for vacation rental.
I told you that
Some units have to register with the Department of Planning and Permitting on an annual basis. If you do, it's the first year, it's $1,000. Thereafter, it's $500. Some units have these NEC permits where you don't have to register with the DPP. And some units are located in actual functioning hotels, and they also don't have to register the DPP. So a lot of realtors don't know this information. So again, just very important you choose it. If you're going to buy a vacation rental unit, you really need to, if you don't work with me, just find a realtor that's very knowledgeable in the vacation rental space. Now, if you are interested in vacation rentals, I have a YouTube channel, Enjoy Living in Hawaii. This is where I do a weekly update for vacation rentals. I just cover new listings and sold transactions. And again, that comes out every week. Another great way to keep on track is our website, Hawaii.com. If you go to the homepage, you scroll down a little bit, you click on vacation rentals. It'll bring you to this page. And here, this is all the fee simple buildings on Oahu, where you can just click on this. You can get a little description about the building. Some of these have video tours of the units, and then you can check all active listings as well. So it's very simple to check inventory very quickly. You can also, from this website, set up customized searches for yourself, so you can get auto alerts whenever a new listing comes up that meets your criteria. And you can set these auto searches not just for vacation rentals, for any type of property you're looking for, other than apartment buildings. If you want to get leads for apartment buildings, just contact me directly, and I'm happy to set up custom searches for you. And if you have trouble setting up auto searches, just contact me and I'll set it up for you. And then lastly, Island Stays Hawaii is our new vacation rental management company. Our goal is always to get our units as guest favorites, and we do offer a 5-star guarantee to our clients, where if guests do not leave if guest leaves a 4-star review or less, we will not take a management fee. So that's our big push to really drive our clients. And that's it. I appreciate you again, the opportunity to do this presentation and for watching. And again, I really strive to provide the highest level of customer service. So if I can ever be of service, if Bryan can be of service, contact us anytime. And we're definitely here to serve you.